Hi, this is Tessa Keogh, and we're up to the letter N. So I thought what we'd cover today is name list. And right now you're looking at my family view, and you're looking at the Murphy line. In any event, if we take a look here, you can get to your name list by just clicking on this icon. And once you do that, the name list comes up. And right now it's showing 6,602 individuals in my name list. Now the first thing I wanted to show you was that in options, you could include alternate names, and that brings my name list up to 7,052. And you can include married names. That brings my list up to 9,091. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that I have 9,091 individuals. It probably means that I have the individual with her maiden name, perhaps an alternate name, as well as a married surname. Now, the way that you determine whether the person is an alternate or a married is by taking a look at either the tilde, which is right here, because the person's name was Andrew Gordon, but everyone called him Gordy, so that's the alternate name, and it's the name used on some documents. That's a tilde, and then this double superscript, which would be the married name of a person. And her name was Colleen Wilcox, and her married name was Colleen Keogh. So that's an option that a lot of people always leave in their legacy. They always leave those included, but you can also have them listed or not. That's in the options section. Another thing you can take a look at is if you use specialized user ID numbers, you can show the user ID instead of your RIN number. And you can also go into any of the items that you want, like editing an individual, deleting an individual, doing some advanced deleting or tagging, as well as sourcing. And you can also set a number of things. You can set the people as living, set a bookmark, go to the bookmark, or customize your display. And I wanted to show you that as well. If you click on Customize Display, what you're going to get is the display for the name list fields. And you can select anything just by clicking on this list and opening up your vast selection of things that Legacy has there for you, including even tags. And what I've done is put some basic information, which is when they're born, when they're baptized, when they die, when they're buried, their first marriage, their spouse's name, their father and their mother, because that's the type of information that I am interested in. You can also load these customized settings here and you can save them, so you can have more than one customized display. And so depending on what you're doing, you might want to set up different displays that are going to address the things that you're interested in. But you can take a look at all of that, and then, as I've often told you, there's always a help button, and you can also reset it to your defaults. Now the other thing that I'm going to show you is we talked about this a little bit before, but you can put the RIN number in. You can start with their given name, and I'm going to do that right here. And it's going to give me everyone whose name is Catherine, starting with the C. Now I could also, once I'm in here, I could also say I want to look at everything that starts with the first name J or N or any other letter of the alphabet. So once you've started working in one area here, be sure to go ahead and use your alphabet if you want to jump around. You can also take a look here and you'll start with your Murphys, of course, and then you might move on or go backwards to any other surname. So we can go back to F and go back to the start of M. But we're going to take a look at Murphy. And you'll notice that once I start typing the information in, the surname with a comma and then their name, it's going to bring up the person I'm interested in. And I thought we'd take a look at this in a little bit more detail because there are a number of screens here in the name list. So I know people who literally work in this name list when they are working on a particular set of things, if they want to take a look at their sources or their events or what have you. So I thought we could take a look at what's in here. And the first one is the detail. And these are the items that I selected that I wanted to be customized and shown up in my detail list. And so you can choose anything you want. And then it's kind of a nice feature here, but you can also see a 3-generation pedigree chart right there. So if you need to take a look of parents' names and you didn't have that type of information here, you'd find it. Now, the next thing that you can do is take a look in the edit screen. And this gives you the ability to edit and add additional information or make changes to it, and also source it right here and add notes. And you can also do some work with the living sections, the birthday reminders, death date reminders, and privacy settings. So that's all in the editing section. And if you're going through a list of things, and this can show up in any number of ways, maybe you want to work through everything that is tagged with the tag 4, and then you can just click on the things that you're interested in and make any kind of edits that you want. The next thing to take a look at is the events tab here. And this you can literally just click through and it's going to show you the information, and these are also things that you've selected. A number of people don't even have description in their events or facts section. I leave it in there because I use it on rare occasions, but description, date, and the place are there, and we already have the event name. In this instance, it's the census from 1880 in Dale, Missouri. And it doesn't provide you with the ability, I don't think, to look at all of that information. No. It doesn't, that clicking there moves your items up and down in the selection of where you want your events. So you can't read everything that's in here, but if you wanted to edit that event, you could just click there and it would bring it up and you could go ahead and edit. Now I'll show you that, and I think I've talked about this before, I use the census as an event or fact. I use the date, and I use the date that it started its enumeration, and I use the entire spelling of the city, the county, the state, and the country. I use USA, not United States, and that's, simply a matter of preference. I leave a space. I start out with the lines that it shows up on the census, their dwelling, and their family number, and then I list the household members, and I number them, and I abstract most of the information that I want to get, and then of course you source it, and that's all in there. And so if you wanted to edit here, it's simply a matter of working in this section here. So you have a number of things that you have there, and they're all in the events section. Next is the notes section. We talked about this a little bit yesterday when I was discussing medical notes, and if you have information in the notes section, it will have this asterisk, and hopefully you can see it here, and it will also show your formatting. For instance, I have bolded this information or italicized it, and it seems to show up when you're working here. And what I have done for various members of the family who are direct line people is, if I have information, and in this instance I have it from some family books that people put together earlier, where they asked family members to describe the person or tell some stories or tell a little bit about their history, and I put all of that information in there, and that's the Murphy family history at page 15. So I've put that in the general information, and then when I find the documents or the images or anything else that's going to back up some of those stories that we've seen, or find them in censuses based on where they said that people were, those items go into the event or the facts section. There is also research here, and I've listed that I'm interested in doing some location research because of the various places that the Murphy family lived, as well as her cause of death, and that the information came from a cemetery lot sheet, and so I want to find out more information from the burial permit. Now this is one of the early ones that I worked on. It's a direct line person, and I put everything in the notes section. As I mentioned yesterday, in current items that I'm researching, I am tending to put the research or the general information in the to-dos and in the events and facts. But this is a good place to have it before you put it into the final place where you want it to be. Even a landing strip, so to speak, is important as opposed to maybe jotting a note down on a piece of paper and then losing it. The next thing that you get is the Family tab. And this is helpful too because this shows you the parents and you'll have that information. It also shows you all of the siblings. And as you can tell, we're Irish Catholic. It shows you the spouse, and then it shows you all of the children. And another thing that you can do from this screen right here is you can show what I've done here is I've shown the father's information here. If you click on this button, it switches to the mother's information. So while you're working on Catherine, you can go back and see information about her mother or father if you're working in this name list. You can also edit information for the father or the mother or the marriage from right here. And finally, your sources, such that you have them, are also listed here. You can add a new source, you can add a citation. If you have something open, for instance, the 1880 census, you could edit it. And that brings it up rather large, but you can edit your fields. You can just check to see what you have. I think I've mentioned that I do my censuses by the census year, and I don't do it by state or locality. That information shows up in my detail as opposed to my general source. So that shows you all of the areas that you can work with when you're taking a look at the name list. Now there's a couple more things that you can do from this name list, which include the search function. So if you wanted to find something or show all of the tagged individuals, for instance, maybe you're just looking for, I think my item number 9 or my tag number 9 is 35 individuals, and these are people that I've marked that something is problematic, or that I need to go back and take another look at some information I have that might not correspond with other information I've found. So I've literally just made a note that I want to check these ones out, and there's 35 of those. But you can go into any of the 3 tagged items that you have showing. In this instance, it's 4, 8, and 9. You can ask it to untag as a group, and you can also search the internet for that current person if that's something that you're interested in doing. We talked about the name list a little bit when we were discussing the index view, because in order to print your index, you need to do that from the name list. But today, I wanted to show you that there is a wealth of information right in your name list, and that you can work in your name list if you are working with specific things that you want to find, whether that's through tagging or by finding groups of people with the same surname, or taking a look once you've gone into that surname information and finding their other relatives and working through there. So that's a quick look at the name list in Legacy, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for the letter O.